What's up, YouTube? And the time has finally come to start working a little bit more on the Pan America. I've been focused a lot on this CVO Road Glide ST, but now it's time to focus on this just a little bit. So far, I've already added on the windshield, that tank bag over there that sits on top, and the risers right here by A1 that I already installed. But now it's time to do a little bit something different, or more of the same, I should say, that other people are already doing. But what I don't have is an exhaust system yet. So I went on and I decided to go ahead and get an exhaust system. I only got about 40 miles on this thing, but I already know that I want an exhaust because of the other Pan America that I had. I wanted an exhaust for that one. So I did order the one from Screamin Eagle, and that'll be here tomorrow. And for you guys, it'll be in real time, so it'll all be the same video. But tonight, I'm gonna go ahead and just remove that old one off, so tomorrow I'm ready. And one of the other things that I did, I ordered it's a heavier air breather, so it allows more air in. And so that's gonna make this thing breathe a little bit better. And as far as the exhaust, it's just gonna create like a different, a better sound, so to speak, or a sound that's a little bit louder. So, all right, here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and take off this side bag here. And it just pulls towards you and out, which is like that. And you can see the way they line up on this side right there. So you just pull them to you and over, and they fit on those tabs right there. And that's off. The next thing I want to do is loosen this exhaust clamp, and the exhaust clamp is right there. I'm gonna be using a flathead screwdriver to do that. And let's do it. Next thing I'm going to do is remove that bolt with a T27, and here we go. And that should just come right off. So the next thing, I'm using a 9/16 socket to remove this clamp. And once the clamp is removed and loose, I can go ahead and prepare to remove this heat shield. Next step is that bolt right there, and that is a T40. And so go ahead and take that. And once that T40 is out, you can go ahead and remove your exhaust. Just kind of work it back and forth and get it off of there. So the next thing I want to do is use my T40 and remove that bolt there and this other one under here. So in my case, I have this exhaust protection bar. I'm gonna go ahead and remove that with the same T40. So once you got this loosened up a little bit, it gives you a little bit of wiggle room. So you need to, I'm using my foot. So push down on the center stand. Gives you enough room to be able to access the bolt right there that you got to remove, and also remove the clamp right there, or loosen the clamp. So what I did, I just loosened it with this socket extension. I was pushing this out the way so I can get to it, and now I could get to it with my hand, and I'll just get that all the way out. And then I'll remove the clamp, and then I should be able to slide that resonator piece out. So now to just use, to get the clamp off, I got that bolt off. It's falling right there, but I'll be able to get to it and just remove that clamp. Since it's tight in here and I don't feel like taking a whole bunch of parts off, I'm just gonna use a wrench. What do I have? A 15 millimeter. And it's gonna take a little bit longer, but not too much longer. It's just because of the angle where I have it. It's already loose, and I can get it with my hand probably, but it just takes a little bit of time. If I put a socket, so like it takes a 9/16, but as you can see, I'm not going to be able to get that socket in there with any other tool. So just use this 15 millimeter, get this out, and it'll be out in a jiffy. So once you got that clamp partially off, just keep the center stand down a little bit and then just wiggle this around, and then this part will come right off like that. See, I didn't even have to, you know, loosen that clamp too much, and it was off. So at this point I have everything fully removed, and I'm just waiting for the exhaust system to come in, and that's it. So I have the old parts over there just sitting around, and I'll box those up and save them for later. If somebody needs them, I guess you could let me know at chrisglides@gmail.com. And I think at this point, I'm gonna go ahead and locate where this air breather is, the air cleaner, and go ahead and take that one out and be prepared to drop the new one in. So for this air breather swap, what I wanna do is I need to remove the tank, and to do that, I'm gonna have to remove the seats. So to remove the seat, I'm gonna put the key in, turn the key, and that releases the latch from the back seat. Just go ahead and take the seat off. Once the latch is unlocked, go ahead and start pulling your seat away, and it just comes off, just locks right in there. And this one, the front part, is just stuck in there. You just take it off. So now you have access to the bolts to go ahead and start to remove your tank. So you want to remove the right and left heat deflectors. That's going to be a T27 bolt, and go ahead and position that and get those out of the way. So it's actually going to be 4 bolts, T27 bolts holding it. So it's actually one down in there. See the middle of the screen on the inside. So you need like a T27 screwdriver to get that out. So it's right in there. So with both of those deflectors off, you want to now go ahead and remove the front fairing just by grabbing a hold on both sides and just pulling, and it'll come right off. So the next thing you want to do is just turn your wheel to give you a little bit more room. You'll see these lines coming out from under the tank. Just trace them down. And this one is the electrical plug, as you can see right there. You're gonna pull this down to unlock it. I might need a screwdriver, but once you unlock it, you pull that to unlock it, and then it will come apart after that. You can just unplug it. There we go, I did it with one hand. So now that's unplugged, and you have things zip tied together, which is this one plug, or not plug, but the one hose there. And then you have a hose that, if you trace it, if you see my fingers, it just goes right here, and you can unfasten it from right there. I'm a little shaky with the camera, but you're gonna unfasten it right there. So right here, you just wanna pull and get that out of there. And you could push it back in there after it's all said and done, but just pull and get that out. And now everything is released. And you can go ahead and move to the next step. So on the left and right side of the tank, there is some bolts you need to remove. And I used a 10mm socket. These are pretty long. And on the clutch side, the left side of the bike, it was right there. And that just comes right out as well. So the next thing you want to do is go ahead and remove this cover off so that you can get to the fuel line. It just pulls right off. And to get to the fuel line, it's right here. You want to push this in and pull that out, and you get a little bit of fuel on yourself. You can put a towel down or whatever, but it's just literally one drop. And so now you should be able to release everything. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and lift the tank up, because there's a fuel pump wire that you're going to have to unplug. So it has to unlock, and then once it unlocks, then you can pull it apart. So this is the part I was trying to reach, and it's just plugged directly up like that. So what you want to do is use a screwdriver and push the red tabs down. I plug it back up. Well, it goes up and you pop it down, and then once that's popped down, then you push and then pull it out. All right, so I locked that back in place. So what I was doing when I reached up there, you have to take a screwdriver and you're gonna push the red part down like that. Well, I just did it with my finger. And once that's down, it unlocks it, and then you press this part in, the black part, and see where that's like moving that piece. And then when you do that, then you can just pull it all the way out. It's kind of hard to see in there. You kind of got to have to do it a little blind, but it's doable. Once that's released, you're gonna go ahead and grab your tank and carry it to a safe place where it's not gonna get scratched or dented. So one thing that I didn't mention was, see that thick line in the middle? That's your fuel line. You gotta pull that out from between there, and then you can lift your tank up. All right, so the tank's up and out, and this is that area that you're gonna put your fuel line back into so that you can go back around and, you know, plug it back up into that chrome piece right there. And so a little bit involved, but it's something you can do, and you know, not that big of a deal. So now what I want to do is go ahead and remove all the bolts out of there to get to the air breather. All right, so I ended up getting the rest of those out with this T27 screwdriver because there was some tight spots. And so anyway, they're all out. And the air box at this point, I have this line right here, but I'm kind of leaving that there, and I can get to everything. I'm just gonna sit this right here. Less things I have to unplug. So I have it right here. I'm just gonna use a screwdriver now, loosen that up and remove the filter. I mean, this thing is clean because I don't have any miles on it. So, but just take that off and that's it. I'm just using a flathead screwdriver. It was not tight at all. So taking that, and now I should be able to just pull it off. Yep, and that's it. So now I'm ready to put the performance filter on and go from there. As you can see, the stock filter is blocked off on the top, and I don't know if it's gonna add any horsepower or any performance differences, but I just like to do things anyway. I know this is a non-reusable filter. The other one is reusable once you clean it, so that'll be perfect. So now I just have to wait for the part. All right, YouTube, and just like that, I'm back and the boxes are right there. They've been delivered. So now it's time to go ahead and finish this install by putting the exhaust on and putting the new air breather inside the 24 CVO Pan America. All right, guys, so let's do this. Doing a little unboxing here, and this ain't what I want, but the other box should have it. But this right here is gonna go on this back part of the CVO to look kind of like that. That's another day. All right, so some progress. This is certainly the exhaust, and I'm wondering where's my air breather, because I need that. All right, so I'll worry about that other part another time, but for now, let's just go ahead and get this exhaust put on and unboxed. All right, so this is what we have to install right here. And so what I did, I took the clamp off the resonator part, and I'm just gonna be using it back on this piece. Put that, slide that on, and I see that the bracket needs to mount. So I got the bolts off, and I could actually put that one back in now. It's right there. I'm gonna use to secure it right there. And then I got my clamp set. So I'm gonna slide it right on through back there. Let's see. Slide it on, just like that. And give me a second. So I was able to just easily slide it right on right there and put this bolt in. and secure that nice and loosely. All right, so just some quick tips. I'm doing this alone, so I'm like literally holding the center stand with my leg, which is comfortable. I'm sitting on the floor. I got this stuff pushed out the way, and this actual bracket right there, the one that's attached to the muffler system, it's actually gonna go behind the bolt bracket area right there. And so then you're just gonna tighten it up, and it threaded pretty easy. I mean, I didn't have to do a lot of wiggling around. It just fell right in place based upon like where the actual muffler system, exhaust system is connected to, right here where this clamp is. I didn't even tighten this yet, but that is in place, so I know it's in the right spot. And this is, I can push it a little bit further on there like that. And now I'm just gonna tighten that bolt right there for the clamp. Well, actually, I'll tighten it at the end because I wanna make sure everything lines up right. So next thing I'm doing, I'm taking this nice new muffler, sliding it in place here. And gonna go ahead and take my bolts there, how it's configured like that, and put it in. Then I'll have the one spring that's gonna go from there to there, and I have a spring puller. So for your bolts, this is a configuration, and it's gonna go through with the spacer and everything like that. See how that goes on? And then you just line this up in the back and put the washer and the bolt on through there. But one thing to note, see all these handprints I just put on there? Definitely clean that off before you start the bike up. So I just loosely fit that up and under through there. Just loosely fit for now. I'll tighten it up in a little while. I'll go ahead and get my spring, and I have a spring puller, so it's not gonna be a big deal. And let me get that. So you can go ahead and grab one of these from Advanced Auto or one of the auto parts stores. It's just a basic like brake spring puller, and it has a hook on the end. There was a time when I hooked up my last one, I ended up making my own. And so the way the hook is, you want the hook to face like it is in both of those directions like that. And let's see if I can get it on the first try. Yep, there we go. Like that. So with cell phone in hand and all. All right, so it's hooked up. Now I just gotta tighten everything. Tighten the clamp, put the bolts back in there. I'll tighten that one all the way back up, and I'll then tighten those up. So, all right, and then that'll be it for the exhaust install. Get that cleaned up, and everything will be in place. So when installing this, go ahead and secure this at 10 to 12 foot-pounds and use some red Loctite is what it says, but I'm using blue. 12 foot-pounds. And to secure the bolt on the mid pipe right through there, you're gonna use, it says red Loctite, I'm using blue because I like to switch my exhaust out a lot. And so I'm gonna use blue, and then you're gonna do that one torqued at 10 to 12 foot-pounds as well. 12 foot-pounds. The next part we wanna tighten is this muffler clamp, and the muffler clamp is calling for 38 to 43 foot-pounds. I usually tighten mine up at 40 foot-pounds. And so here we go. 40 foot-pounds. So the only remaining parts to install was just to reinstall the bolts that came out of those three areas right there. And to do that, ended up using a T40 for all three of those. Just got them tight, and 1, 2, 3, and that's it, it's on. So I want to wipe this down before I do anything else. The only thing left to do to this is, one of the things you can do is remove the baffle out of there. And so I plan on doing that because I already know how this sounds. So to remove that baffle, you're gonna go ahead and pop this little rubber plug off, use a 5/32. Once you crack the seal on that 5/32, which I already did, go ahead and remove that bolt out of there. All right, so it's a little small one like that. And then we're gonna need to go ahead and wiggle this out of place. So we get something to do that with. So I'm just using some vice grips. And it comes right out. And so you can see I got that out, and just this little bit is enough to change the sound. You can see down in there, and it's just wide open now. And unfortunately, I can't start the bike because I have the tank off. And Harley-Davidson customer service, I called them because the air breather was supposed to come the same day that the muffler was coming, and it's not. So it's back ordered for 2 more days, and I don't know when they're gonna ship it out. So I'm gonna go to the store and have to buy one, but unfortunately the store is closed. However, for you guys, it'll seem like the same day because it'll all be on the same install video. So for now, I'm just gonna put this cap back in, and that part of the exhaust install is gonna be done. What's up, YouTube? I'm here now at HD DC, coming to pick up these parts that I'm needing for this Pan America. Got Keegan in the back busy, famous Hondo over there, and I'm ready to just get this Pan Am stuff ready and going. So I need to get out of here before I start looking at bikes. But so far as the Pan America, these are the normal special series Pan Americas. So just if you're not familiar with the Pan America and you just only see mine, this is how they come. So you can see that mine has a lot more features and parts on it than these models right here. So clear windshield, no fog lights, no bags. The exhaust that I took off looks like the standard exhaust right here. And so this is what you're working with when you get the regular Pan America special or the standard. So all right, so I finally got this from HD DC. I talked to Randy and Keegan today. I'm ready to go ahead and get this thing out of the plastic and installed into the bike and get this thing together so we can hear how it sounds and feel how it rides. All right, here we go. So I've already got everything broken down, and I just want to go ahead and I didn't even remove that plug, so I could just sit it right here. So taking this out, I'm gonna put the air breather just right on there and put the clamp on. I got the clamp right there. Go ahead and do that. So what I did, I positioned it in there so that I can tighten it right there with the 5/16 socket, and I'm just going to tighten it up to where it doesn't come off. And I think I got it on there tight enough now, and I need to look up the torque spec for that, but I think it's good because it's just plastic on plastic. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and put the cover back on, and I remember when I had sports bikes and those velocity stacks, I used to get the shorter ones, and just for more power, but I don't know how that works on here. It could be the same philosophy, but if you guys know, put it in the comments if anybody's changing velocity stacks on their Pan America for shorter or longer ones. All right, so I got all these screws that I'm gonna be putting around. I call it a screw instead of a bolt because it looks like a screw. And to do that, 27 type of screwdriver, because if you use the socket style, it's gonna be too thick to go around to tighten up right there on the sides. So that's back on there. I ended up switching out to a T25. Some of the screws work better with the T27, some with the 25. So I don't know, whatever your preference is, but let me show you right here. So the part, when you put the tank on, the part that you're mounting or putting the bolt in for the tank bolt is right there, just the other side of it. And then I already showed you guys how, this piece works, how to take it off. But to put it back on, you just stick it in there and push that lock and tab in. So those are the things we have to do when we put the tank back on. And we have to take the fuel line when the tank is on and stick it through there, push it through there so to come out and plug in on the other side. And then we still have the one electrical plug on this side that we have to connect back. And then the fuel line is going to go right here, and that is a one-time use type of connection right there. So I should have, when I was at the dealership, I should have asked for more. So I'm not sure how we're going to do that now. I'm going to have to go back to the dealership again, but I saw another guy using silicone and just press that back in, but it's just a vent, so I want that on there tight. But for now, I'm going to have to do that until I could get a more secure method of what I need. It'll work for now. So I caught the right angle to get the tank to sit up there by itself. It's a little bit too high, but this is where I want to go ahead and plug that in. I'll drop it down some more, but I also want to position the line to go ahead. All right, so that didn't last long. But anyway, so I want to position the line to get stuck back in there. Let me go ahead and use two hands. And this is where two people could actually help if you have a second person. So before you get any of your bolts put in on your tank, try and feed through your fuel line. And so I got one middle finger on it. And so now I'm gonna just kind of pull or push down and to get it to where it needs to be. And I'll just get it in place and I'll plug it in afterwards. So the next step, you had the left and right side covers. I think I'm gonna go ahead and put those in now loosely, because if that's lined up, then I pretty much may have the bolts lined up on the side. I tried to start one of the tank bolts on the other side and I wasn't finding where I needed to be. So I'm gonna just see if this helps to get the tank lined up and then put the tank bolts in. So just a tip, when removing these four, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see the fourth one inside of there. But when you remove them, take the outer one, the ones that's out first, and then you can kind of turn this and reach down in there a little bit better. But when you put it back together, put the inside ones in first, and then you can tighten them up and then put those in. So now the only thing remaining are the two bolts to hold the tank in place. Those were T27, and so are these. So it was a good idea to go ahead and put those rear ones in first, because it allowed me to actually have these holes lined right up. So that was a good deal. So I'm gonna go ahead, and once I screw these in, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten them with the socket. And so I have to figure out what socket size to use, but for right now, that works well. So I'm just tightening these with a T27 so I can kind of feel the thread pattern. And when I get that on there tight, then I'm gonna go ahead and use my 10mm socket and tighten it up more. And it's tight. I'm already here, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this fuel line back together. So I'm gonna pull out on this sleeve right here and then push it in. So while I was already on this side of the bike, I went on and connected the fuel line back together. So just getting this in front of the fuel line, you're gonna push that sleeve in, like how my fingers are going towards the inside of the bike, and press that in place. And it's gonna be nice and snug. You'll hear it snap back like that once it's locked in place. Kind of pull on a little bit to make sure that it's on. And now just to put the cover back on. These covers just snap right in place. Those go into those 3 holes right there, and get it lined up and just pop it back in. There you go, that cover's on. And the same process for the front. You have these rubber grommets, 4 of them, and then that's where you're gonna snap the front fairing back on. But first, I wanna just make sure that I get my fuel line, not fuel line, but the vent hose back together on there, right there. That's the last thing I gotta do other than put my seat back on and be done with this install. And I was able to get that back in there. You can see it's all the way down. I did use some rubber gloves just for some extra sticky type of push and to get it in. And I put just a little bit of dab of this gel on there, but you know, that helped a little bit. I use these for running my bars, and it shouldn't hurt anything. But yeah, I got that back in there, and that sucker is on there nice and tight. So I did remove a zip tie that was right here, so I'm just gonna put a zip tie back in place right there, and that should do it. So the only thing I need to do is push that front fairing back in place. I snapped the seat on while you guys weren't looking or paying attention, and once I get the front on, then we're good. That was easy. I'm gonna go ahead and check it for tightness and then keep it moving. All right, so everything is back together. The only thing missing is the tank bag, and I'll just throw that on just for fun. So with these, man, you can put a lot of stuff in here. It's coated on the back so it doesn't scratch up your tank, even though I'm not too worried about it. It's an off-road bike, but you have one snap that goes there and two in the front, and that's your bag. So waterproof, nice and hard. You can kind of lay down on it, go to sleep. No, not really, but you could you could kind of rest your back by laying down on it. It's nice and weatherproof. You could put your electronic camera equipment in there. In my case, most likely will be a firearm and you know, maybe some other stuff in there, maybe some ammo and sunglasses. So, but yep, let's keep it going. So the bike is all back together. Some of the things to note about when you're doing like builds that, or just modifications, I always say builds, but modifications that take like 2 and 3 days, try and take a mental note or a video. Always record what you're doing so you know where you left off at. Put your bolts somewhere where you can get to them, where you remember where things screw in. I know it's only one way, but removing the tank seemed pretty tedious, especially the hardest part was the plug underneath and just knowing where the different things are that you need. But removing the tank is going to be something that for the Pan America is going to be something that you're going to be doing quite frequently to clean the air filter and to just really get the bike clean underneath. So with all that said, you know, one of the things you got to remember is did you tighten everything, you know? So just kind of go over everything a few times and just, you know, ask yourself, hey, did I tighten everything? One of the things that it called for right here was a red Loctite, and that's a high vibration area, but red Loctite is super permanent. And I slept on it and I'm like, man, do I really want to put red Loctite right there? I mean, I can get it off if I need to, but I like changing my exhaust out to sample, you know, other types of exhaust and exhaust sounds. And then there's the other bolt down there that secures the mid frame, and that called for red as well. So hopefully I don't regret not using the red, and and the exhaust stays on. But anyway, without further ado, let's get this thing on. So quick status update, everything is installed and back on the bike, and I can go ahead and start this thing up and see how it sounds with the baffle out, with the Screamin Eagle exhaust on, and here we go. I noticed with any of the bikes that I have, if you want to hear the true sound, you need to be like in gear, first gear, or something like while you're sitting there with your hand on the clutch, you know, safely, and then you try and rev it, like, you know, while you're in motion. That's how you get the true sound test. And then the sounds never come through as clear when you're using, you know, recording equipment like a cell phone and a mic. So, but I can tell you that this is my second Pan America. I had installed the same exhaust on my first one, and removing that baffle makes a hell of a difference. And also even just changing that exhaust out makes a big difference too. So my choice in this one was I like the carbon fiber, but I also wanted the exhaust that comes up at least to here to get all that exhaust like in and out and away from me versus like it getting on me or my passenger. So some of them are short, and you know, the exhaust could come right up or whatever, but to each his own. So, all right guys, that's gonna do it for this install, or these two installs where I went on and I changed out the exhaust for the Screamin Eagle exhaust, And I went on, and while I was at it, just went on and changed the air breather to the Screamin Eagle air breather. It gives it a lot more air, and also it's reusable so that I can take it out, clean it time and time again versus just purchasing them every time. So that's all I got for you today, and I don't know what else to say. So all right, guys, stay tuned, because who knows where we're gonna go next. Peace.